Hello and welcome to the 1212 podcast. I'm your host, Sean Hegarty. And before we bring you this week's episode, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Lean Supper Club. Lean Supper Club are market leaders of ready-made lifestyle food brands. They offer breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks and treats. They're a family-run business providing restaurant-quality products all over NI. And if you've never seen or heard of them before, check them out next time you're in Spar, Eurospar, Centra, Super Value, Cost Cutters and Vivo Extra. They all have their own individual fridges, usually just in the middle of wherever these sort of supermarkets and stuff are. So do check them out. They do couples packages, which consist of 10 lunches, 10 dinners, and 2 packs of protein bombs. They're available for 70 quid, which is an absolute bargain. Because if you paid somebody to come into your house and make you one meal, they'll probably cost, 50 quid? 50, 60 quid? Do you know what I mean? It's fucking, there's 10 there, do you know what I mean? Singapore hot chicken noodles are absolutely unreal, so do check them out. leansupperclub.com for all your beautiful food needs. And let's start the podcast. So lads, we're still waiting on the fucking typical Lurgan lad here, who's obviously in his tractor up the M1, isn't he?
Just was born late.
Doing donuts outside. So we've got Ciaran Franco here.
What's happening?
We've got Sean McAleavey.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
And we're waiting for Pete Giffen as well to join us. And your podcast is called Are We Podcast?
Yeah, it's the three of us.
Yeah?
Shot
You enjoying it so far?
Yeah.
Shot in your flat?
Yeah.
Is it?
So I had a flatmate move in and I'm like, listen, see between the hours of 1 to 2, you don't leave your room. You stay in your room, son.
You hear some dark shit.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Is it
Just
anything
ignore it.
goes? Is it?
Well, my mum used to listen to it and then I came
Right.
home from like a 12-hour shift and I walked in and she was like, I did not raise you in that way. I was like, what? She goes, you're not welcome in this house. And I went, right, that's a bit intense.
Yeah.
It's like each one of us have like slowly but surely tried to be cancelled by our own ma's by doing the podcast.
Yeah.
They're like, well, listen to the first 3 episodes, but you're dead to me, son. You're dead.
Just when you have your parents listening in, it's weird. It's almost like when you're camping out with your mates and your dad's just sitting in by the tent, just listening to you trying to fucking spin the bottle in it, just 4 lads.
There's a story I told him. My mum was like, it didn't happen like that. She goes, retell it. And I'm like, no.
But that's it. But things on podcasts too are just, they're so fabricated, aren't they? Like they really are. And it's for a laugh. That's the whole reason you're doing it. It's for comedy purposes. Like, so.
It's Chinese whispers, like, it's just,
Yeah. Did you hear your Ciaran on the podcast talking about fingering his auntie? And you're like, here, fucking, that's not what he said.
It switches around. It was like in school, a teacher, a shelf dropped on his head, and it's the story just kept getting more and more fabricated till one sixth year was walking about being like, I hit him with a hurl. It's like,
I said in the podcast a few weeks ago too, on this podcast, that I was slow dancing with a girl once in a teenage disco and she had a seizure.
fuck's sake.
Right? And somebody came over to me 5 minutes later and they were all, why did you punch her in the face? And I was like,
fuck?
no, just out of fucking nowhere. They must have seen this wee girl drop and just been like, he's hit her a slap. Like, didn't happen at all. Didn't happen. Just had a seizure. She's epileptic, you know.
Did you try to pull her and she said Nazis?
So uppercutted her in the gooch. Just fucking.
Have at.
How long he's been gigging for?
I'm a year next week. So remember taking down the date. So yeah.
These are babies.
Close to a year, yeah.
No way. What about Pete?
Pete started in December, so he did. So he done
Not
the
even
first
a year?
gig. Yeah, not even. He's 9 months. He done a gig. His first gig was like a COVID spreader as well. He says like everyone who touched the mic got COVID. Like,
Fuck's sake. So he's had it then?
yeah.
He's had COVID?
I had it 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
And then-
When it was actual COVID?
Yeah,
When it was the
like
real...
proper bad. Like,
What
yeah.
about you?
I had a couple of weeks ago and work were like, how do you feel? I was like, awful, but it was fine. Just
I read
needed
a
catching them
stat.
days.
I read a stat recently, like fucking, I think it was yesterday, that in 2022 we've had more cases than 2020 and 21 combined.
So it's just people.
That's it,
Just,
but no one gives a
fucking
fuck.
name.
No one
Nobody
gives
gives
a shit.
So what were we doing those 2 years? Driving ourselves insane, do you know what I mean?
locked in the doors. Like
Yeah.
I got in a taxi with one of my mates to go get a boojum. My mum was like, "Did you sit the same?"
Jump in. Hello. Pete Giffen, ladies and gentlemen.
What time do you call this, son? Huh?
A good showing of Lurgan.
This is an insight to what our podcast looks like.
Yeah.
Us
Has
two
anyone
sitting
got an
there.
inhaler first of all before we start here?
How many kids you hit in the car on the way down?
They're like good comedian
I
always
love it.
carries a pen.
He was shocking for carrying pens. I think I've taken about 100 a year.
Yeah.
Like,
How are we then?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah,
Oh, good.
just killing time till you got here.
It started.
No, we have started. We have started. We had to
Okay,
start
okay.
without Jay. You all good?
I'm all good, yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually got here in the end.
A lot of traffic.
There was, yeah. You know, it's like getting through Lurgan.
I left Lurgan at 8:20, and I got here for like 9:45.
Okay, yeah.
I thought you were going to say 8:45 there. I was like, don't call me out my bullshit, please.
A wee electric scooter. It's going up the bus lane, the M1. You all good?
Yeah, I'm all good, man.
Yeah. You're
Glad to be
approaching
here.
your 1 year anniversary too, doing stand up?
9 months I'm on at the moment. So
Unbelievable.
middle of December I started, like, yeah.
I was saying yours was the COVID super spreader.
Yeah, yeah. Up in the chicken box
I
and
was going to say, do you
there.
just remember your first gigs? It was fucking a couple of months ago.
I remember it was like last week.
Mine was fucking black and white TV and all. Yeah.
See, that's the thing though. We've been blessed. Where like, obviously, like the boom since COVID sort of ended and people got back out again. We came into that stage where everything was like nice, rosy meadow fields. We haven't gone through the trenches like any of you boys or any of this shit back in the day. Like, which is
I think we've come in at a good time.
The pavilion's
yeah.
always so loud. Like,
Yeah.
people,
unreal.
yeah, people like you haven't played the pavilion when it's 4 people. None of them are there for comedy.
I was surprised the first person to tell me that, like, 10 people plus is good for the pavilion. I was like, what do you mean? It's always like 40 people. And they're like, no, it's not. Like,
I used to do it like fucking 13, 14 years ago, and
Yeah.
it was just 7 or 8 people, and they were all miserable. And they were there to see one person. So like the person
Yeah.
who lived on the Ormo Road, just
and
who
hoping that
fucking
everyone
held
else
the mic.
died on their ass. Like, yeah.
Oh, it was brutal. But it's good to see it where it is now. And the scene, as you say, it's the fucking best it's ever been. It
Yeah.
really is. Like, it's the best. It's amazing.
Like, people are like, you don't have the quality of gigs that we had back then. Or sorry, the quality of gigs now are far, far better than what we had
Oh
back
yeah,
then
yeah,
and all.
yeah.
Like,
And people are getting paid quicker too now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's just paid gigs all the time now, and there's so many
Professionalism
gigs
coming
that
into it.
Yeah.
every gig needs filled. Whereas when we started off, I was doing Donegal to 3 a.m. for fucking €10 and all. Do you know what I mean? Or 10 punts or whatever it probably was back then. And it was hell on earth. It was brutal compared to now.
we did do one in Mullingar, like the 3 of us travelled down, and it was
Yeah.
like, I think we all agreed that's like a PTSD one. Like,
The worst one we did was Limerick.
yeah. We drove to Limerick and back in one night for what I think I got €20.
Yeah.
€20
I left the
covered
house
diesel,
at-
and this was when diesel was like €2.10. Like, a litre. It's like, fuck's sake, I'm never going to financially recover from this.
I left the house at 3 in the afternoon, didn't get back like 3 in the morning for
Yeah.
like 7 minutes of down on my ass to like
Yeah.
8 people in Limerick. But
Jesus Christ.
that's what it's all about.
Some MC got up and looked at the girl in the front row and was like, do you mind if I think about you next time having sex with my wife? And we're just like, oh man.
set the standard. Like,
I was like 68 and she was like 19. Like, we're going to get me too. We're going to get
Next thing, they're like, please welcome Sean McAleavey. I'm like, oh no,
Fuck's
mate.
sake. I did a gig recently in Armagh Marketplace, and it was like a family event. So there was
Yeah.
like 5-year-olds and there was 100-year-old grannies and stuff. And I was talking to this girl on the balcony, and I was like almost like half chatting her up and like having a laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I goes, "What age are you?" And she goes, "I'm 18." And I was all right, let's just leave it there. And let's get totally on. It's like, my son's 18. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck off. Unbelievable.
and that's me. See,
I was
I
just
just
saying, you
had to
didn't
move
try to set him
swiftly
up or
on.
nothing. No, you could have.
Not even. No. I was like, I need to get out of here before I end up in jail. I was like, this took a turn for the worse.
McAleavey
like.
bit. Fuck that.
So have you done shitty gigs? Have you done, apart from Mullingar, have you done really rough ones, or have they mostly been lovely?
Quite recently there, like before I done, like the gig before I done Lavery's was my lowest ever audience.
Yeah.
2 people.
yeah.
And that was a real sort of
That's
like,
the Edinburgh Fringe.
yeah. That was the first time I was like, this isn't even a gig. This is just me talking to a couple. And like, that was the first time I realised like, gigs like that, you have to sort of approach them differently. Do you know what I mean? Not like go through material and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a real stinker. Like,
It wrecks faith in your own material. Like the one we done in
Oh,
Barn
aye.
City Centre, that I came off being like,
Oh, I've done
none
that
of my
before as well.
material's great, like at all.
Yeah, it really makes you reevaluate everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that they were giving us free drinks that night, and I remember I just wanted to leave, and they came over to me and looked me given. It was, "There's 2 more pints, please." I was like, "You hold me
Yeah.
prisoner now." As well.
I did gigs on a cruise ship about 4 years ago, and it was brutal. Now the gig went all right, but I was booked to do like 5 or 6 gigs throughout the course of this week or 10 days. And after the first gig, the fella was all, "Can you do like Peter Kay kind of stuff and Billy Connolly and Joe, like pretty much tell everybody else's material?" And I was like, no, this is what I do. You've booked me to be me. Do you know what I mean? You've seen my videos, you've read my bio, you've went through my agent, you've wanted me, I'm giving you me, and now you don't want it. And the fellow was all, "But if you could do like material that they know," because it was like a fucking most of the audience were from around like
just
the
say garlic
south of
bread,
England.
Sean.
Yeah.
Say garlic bread.
They're pretty
For
much
God's
that's what
sake.
they were saying, yeah. And it got to the point where I was like, "Listen, let me off the boat," and they were all, and they were all, we'll let you off, yeah, but in France in like 4 stops.
Oh, for
And
fuck's
I was like,
sake.
fuck me. So I literally had to go to my room, no internet or nothing, and had to just sit there for about 5 days and just go and
Jesus
had
Christ.
on, I'll go get my dinner and just go back to my room and just sit on my own, just fucking. It
That's
was
the thing
brutal.
with cruise ships. You die on your ass.
Brutal. And
You're
it was
stuck on a
during
boat
the
with a break?
time. Yeah, it was during the time. I'm a huge Liverpool supporter, right?
Yeah.
And it was the first leg of Liverpool-Barcelona. Do you know where we beat them like 4-0 in the second leg?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But the first leg was 3-0. So this was halfway through me sitting in a room on my own. And what I did was the fucking TV was so high up and the bed was so low. I got a chair and put it on the bed and then sat on the bed. But there was waves and all too, so I was every shape. And I was sitting like this here. But when I leant up to get on the chair, I fucking broke my thumb. So it was a fucking disaster.
A cruise ship from hell. No one gets off alive.
It was brutal. It was fucking brutal. I remember I brought on all these props and stuff because I do some props
Yeah.
on stage, and I had like a toy gun which got fucking confiscated at the doors. I had baked beans and all confiscated, and I had a leak. Do you know, like a big vegetable, a leak? So I was going to go on and go, here's a leak on the ship. And when I did, people started panicking and stuff, and I pointed it and I was like, the chef told me not to worry about it. And then it got like a bit of like titters and stuff, and from then it was like the audience half turned on me. They went really sort of like, this guy's meant to be giving us facts here. Do you know what I mean? I thought he was fucking dishing out information.
We like edgy comedians, but not that leak banter.
Yeah.
Like, that's taking it too far.
Too far. Too far. They've all seen Titanic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
fucking
expect
hell.
the worst. But fucking brutal.
I
You just
find
have
that
it all
real
ahead of
interesting,
you.
like doing comedy on cruise. Because I've been on a cruise ship and there was a comedian there, and he was very sort of like old school British. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what they usually are. They're usually 50, 60-year-old men who have like.
I wouldn't say Bernard Manning, but not a kick in the teeth
Oh
away
yeah, yeah.
from
They're
it. Like,
close
you
to it.
know,
Roy Chubby Brown.
Yeah, that's sort of
kind
it.
of.
Make
Yeah.
it tone it down as well, or is it just do whatever?
Yeah, you weren't allowed to swear or anything, but I brought a lady up on stage and she was hammered and she was saying fuck every second word. And it was just, that didn't go in my favour either.
Yeah,
Do you know
of
what I mean?
course, yeah.
So I was like, you know, we can let the leak stuff go, but
Yeah.
somebody saying fuck 15 times into a mic while hammered, you should have
Yeah.
got her up. And I was like, but how am I supposed to know until she gets up onto the
It's a lottery,
stage
isn't it,
and
like?
gets onto the mic?
Yeah.
You're like, how was I meant to know on the Disney Princess cruise, huh? How was I meant to know I wasn't allowed to say fuck?
In the buffet, they spotted you, but that's fucking him.
And it was the princess blog.
Yeah. I want a word, come here.
The cruise we were on, there was like, for the comedian, there was like a early show and a late show.
Yeah.
And the late show was all like, oh, like, you know, the chains are off.
Still watered down.
But it was just like a light UKIP rally.
Yeah.
He was
Say,
like-
he's allowed to say pube once and that's
Yeah.
it. Everything else has to be family friendly still.
yeah.
Any
it just-
tourists in?
That's where he's all going.
Brutal. What's the dream then? What's the goal doing stand up? He's doing it for the crack, he's doing it for money, he's doing it for a
I'm-
wee bit of fame.
I think we're all
We're all
the
doing
same
for
boat.
all for the women, yeah.
Hopefully,
That's
yeah.
just purely for chicks. Yes.
One of the first sort of big ish gig I on open support for like Johnny and Ian in Limelight. When I came off, some other comedian went, "Did you get much pussy doing this?" So,
Brilliant.
they're ripping the clothes off me coming off the pavilion.
Yeah. You
I
get that
pref-
though. You get women who are like partners of comedians who have just got into stand up, and the women are really kind of paranoid at the start, and they're like, "Here, this is like you're instantly a celebrity because you've held a mic for 5 minutes."
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's the complete opposite.
I
It's
done
the
my-
complete opposite.
I done my first laveries there, and it was the first time ever afterwards. I had people coming up, asking me for selfies.
Yeah.
And these girls come up asking me for selfies, and I could just see my girlfriend in the distance be like, and I was like, oh fuck.
I think that happened Paddy McDonnell. I don't think he'll mind me telling this, but his wife came to see him for I think the first time in about 10 years, a
Yeah.
couple of months ago. And while they were talking after he came off, 2 girls came up and asked him for a threesome. The first ever time he's ever been offered anything.
Oh, we were in the Dirty Onion, and my mates, there were a group of like really good looking girls, and my mates went to them, like they knew them, and said, "Go over to Kieran there and pretend you recognise him, and get selfies with him." And I walked over,
That's class.
put them around, and put it up on my Instagram story. And then afterwards, they're like, they don't know you at all.
Just on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Was that not real?
No, I was too ashamed to put it down.
Wondering, why the fuck's he getting fucking noticed?
Fucking impractical jokers here.
Like, they were unreal looking. I was like, yeah, I do a bit of comedy.
Oh, that's
sake.
cool.
I get I get like really old women. They're coming after me after the show being like, "You're great. What are you doing afterwards?" Like, "I'm going home, going to bed." Like, you should too, love. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Do you want to be my grandson?
Uh,
Bit of roleplay.
yeah, the very few times it's happened, like, yeah, it's creepy. Like, but to answer your question, I think we all just want to what.
The three
Just
of
get
us
up-
all
get-
probably
yeah,
want to
probably
do it
wanna
for
do
a
it,
job,
like,
as
yeah.
career. Like, yeah.
Full-time
Obviously,
jobs,
we're...
like, we're at that stage where you can roll the dice. You're young, and you're like, fuck it, and go
Yeah.
all in. You can like, we could afford to go to Limerick and back in the night. No kids, no wife,
kids,
none of that
no wife,
sort
no.
of muck. Like, you can go all in on it and come up here and do a podcast 11 o'clock in the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
I think we're
Perfect, like-
self-aware enough to know that, like, it's going to be 5 or 10 years before you're even thinking about
Yeah.
going full time. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
everyone's different too. Like I kind of look at the people who have maybe, as I say, made it, like for over here,
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and they've maybe only been gigging a couple of years, and you see a lot down south as well because of social media now. But at the same time, with that comes a complete lack of experience and a lack
Yeah,
of
of course,
stage
yeah.
time. Do you know what I mean? And although I would trade that in a heartbeat for the money side of things and the fucking sellout shows and arenas and whatever, at the same time, though, I kind of feel like I've slogged through the shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've earned my stripes, and it's like I just feel like so appreciative now of where I am in stand up and how far I've came, and that people look at me going, do you have any advice? Can you give us this? Can you give us that? Whereas I don't think you can do the same with people who have maybe put out social media videos and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
sold a tour off the back of it. It's a
Yeah.
completely different thing.
Yeah.
But I've gigged with people from festivals over the summer too. People who have maybe 500,000 followers online, and then you see them on stage and they're a nervous wreck and they don't rate their material and it hasn't been tested enough.
And they probably have a bigger audience than someone like
Yeah.
open mic, and it's
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
much too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So it's hard to kind of get that balance, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We had like a co-headline show we did, and Pete was doing supporting like the three of us, and we sold it out 2 nights, brilliant in Belfast and Sunflower Bar. But someone made a great point to me. It's like, this is great, you're doing this, so you're on. It's how many of them people can you get to come back off going
that's
to
it.
your first show?
That was
that's
friends
what it
and
is.
family, like,
Do you know what I
like
mean?
it was
Yeah,
friends and family and peers, the odd
it's
fan.
all well and good selling out a show, but
Yeah.
will they come back the next year? Like, for
Yeah.
example, Shane's like, did the SSA, then bangs out 10 shows in the Grand Opera Hall. That's that's a quality show.
Trying to
You're
build
looking
like a
at
wee
it.
tiny audience, like.
Yeah, yeah.
To be fair, the Sunflower shows they were some of the, I think they were my two favourite shows we've done. Like,
Yeah.
on
the
that.
audience was just, well, I suppose like because it was all friends and family, they were just so up for it. Like,
Yeah.
And
And
I
you
felt
go into it too knowing that it's your show. It's like you've already won them over to a certain extent.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're
You
the
just
two.
have to kind of give them what they've came for.
The only thing is when they arrive and you're a nervous wreck, and they're like, "Oh, what you doing?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"Go away, sit
You're
down."
like, fuck off, I need to go for material here.
And there's no hiding in the sunflower. You're just sort of standing there,
I
like
know, I
pacing
know.
around,
But
sweating your bag
it's
off.
great too, because like we obviously ran the tickets and all ourselves. So like you're at the door doing the door to your own show. Joe, people
Yeah.
are showing up, they're like, I'm here to see you. And like, well,
Yeah.
what's your name? How many tickets you got? Is that your mom? Well, nice to meet you. Like,
Or
it's
someone's all, that guy got a ticket. He's all, yeah, that's actually my second cousin. Yeah, he does have a ticket. He's for him and he's for her.
Just let them in.
Yeah, but don't let him sit next to her because they're falling out. All this
You
shit.
and
Like.
Darren done the one the night in between. The
That's right. You did the Friday
He's
and
done the
Sunday.
Saturday.
We did
Yeah.
the Saturday. That's right.
was a
Yeah.
sweat
Hottest
box,
day
like-
of the year.
yeah.
yeah.
Fuck, I was
I
brilliant.
was in bits. Like. It's just so.
Yeah, that's one of the few gigs I've done in shorts. I always make
I
a
done
point.
shorts
It's like
as
no
well,
matter
yeah.
what, I'd always try and wear like trousers or just try and be professional.
yeah.
But at times like that, you have no choice. I'd wear
Yeah.
a fucking vest if I had to. Do you know what I mean? Just anything to cool
The
down. It was-
snapback?
Yeah, fucking begging.
I know.
Unbelievable. But great gig then. Went well.
Yeah, it was
two
a
of
lot
them,
of fun, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
Class. I had that pure thing afterwards where I was like, right, now what? Do you know, like the show
Yeah.
the dust settles, I'm like, what? And then I said you guys like, I'll take a week off. Then didn't have anything the following week and 2 weeks of nothing. I was just like, what am I gonna do myself? This is so depressing.
It's hard, isn't it, trying to juggle the big highs and the crushing lows, and
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
and it's a lot in stand-up, especially if you do it on a regular basis where you're doing really well on stage and then you just go home and you're just fucking watching Match of the Day and Cocoa
Yeah.
Pops
Yeah.
on your own, and you've went from everybody laughing or getting selfies or photos taken or saying how good it was to just being on your own and just sitting by
is
yourself.
it any
just being
wonder
like,
some of them like
Yeah.
hit the drink and the gear and all? It's
Of
just like
course,
trying
of
to
course,
chase the
yeah,
high.
you need that
Or like
vice or something, don't
you
you?
smash a gig and then you get on the train. You're like, these people don't know how to smash a gig. These weren't there, man.
The East Lofts we done in the summer. It was like a really good gig
Church.
Oh yeah,
in the church. Yeah, and
the
they
church, that was
they
great.
ended up being a really lovely crowd and all. And I
Yeah,
were
they
like
were
buzzing
great.
for that and coming out being like, right now what? Chinese, just sitting in my box like,
Yeah, the fucking rain, just crying.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. The scene is. It's 100% the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
100%. Like it is. It's fucking brilliant, and it's good to see all these lads coming through as well. Do you know, it's really keeps all the older comedians fresh. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because
Right.
there's constant competition, but it's friendly competition too. Because
Yeah.
I know a comedian posted recently who I'll not say anything about him, but he quit stand up a couple of months after getting into it. I'm sure you know already who
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
But he says like the whole scene is fucking toxic.
That
And I was
really
like,
rubbed me up the wrong way because
yeah,
I was
it's
like, mate,
it's the furthest thing from
Yeah.
toxic.
Because
because I
Everyone's
was,
so
so
I was
supportive.
expecting it to be a wee bit. And I was like, toxic. And I was like, seasons I've
It's
been in
the
there.
complete opposite.
99.5%, probably maybe one or two people. And the people that are, everyone else has been nothing but bloody nice. The biggest names, like drop me a
Yeah.
wee taxi, mate.
That's it. From the biggest
you're doing
names
well,
to
you
the
know,
people
all
who've
that
done
stuff.
one gig,
Yeah.
everyone's lovely. Everyone's so supportive.
I
That's a
definitely
great
agree
thing
with
about
that,
it.
like.
I had a pure gimp moment the other week where someone on the podcast asked me, was like, what's your favourite thing about stand up and getting into it? I was like, genuinely the other comedians and the people on it, that whole like scene, everyone's just so dead on. Yeah. I said it like it was God's dead on me, like, but it is like the gig's not great, but it's the people on it too are fucking class. Like
me and you met in like a proper dodgy gig, like where we both had shit, like, and then but like we ended up becoming good mates because of it, like.
That's actually a good story. That me and you actually met in the Speakeasy, the Students' Union. Do you know the Queen's one that was temporary there? So we met in it, and then that's where the Speakeasy show came from, because that's where we first met. And now you're actually running and booking the Students' Union gig for Ulster University.
Yeah.
Like that's in the span of like a year. That's fucking
Like,
mad.
that's brilliant. So that's how you two met?
Yeah, it was a charity gig, but for us to play it, we also had to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
So like, I messaged
way.
him going, "Can I play this
Pay to
charity
play?
gig?" And they went, "Yeah, pay to play." So I arrived, and then I was like shaking like mad, and you walked over and like, "Do you want a drink?" And I remember, you remember it definitely, where I was like, "Look, no drinking before a gig." I look like a fucking rapper bit.
Yeah. It's like, take on East on, you'll be alright. That was only like my second or third gig too. I was like,
Yeah, the big dog comes in. You need a drink, pal.
Rohypnol McAleavey here.
Actually, that night I met Dave for the first time, and Dave was about to go on stage. And I don't know how I caught my eyes, like, Dave, your zipper's down, and he was literally just about to walk to the stage. So you're welcome, Dave.
Sounds like a wee prank. Like you're like,
That's a bit far going from down there, though, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Finger covered in piss. So how did you meet then? How did you join the...
so yeah, Sean and
the
Kieran
trio?
knew each other before I did, and then me and Kieran, we done a gig in Derry.
Yeah, which was just in January time.
Yeah, that would have been like my second gig, because I remember going home, like my mum still asked me about every single gig, you know, real like, oh, how was it? And I was telling about it, and I said, well, it was this wee fella, like, you know, like he was, because I thought he was like 18 at the time, because he didn't have any facial hair back then, and I look about 36, and I was like, this wee fella could be my son. I told my mum, oh, there's this wee fella, like, he had good ideas, but his delivery wasn't great and all this, like proper critiquing him and all, like.
On the way up to that gig, another comedian who drove me up was like, "Let's go for your material." And when we were going for it, he goes, "Deliver that differently, deliver that differently, deliver that differently." So the way I'd practiced it in the house, I went into chicken box like, right, I'm going to do this bit different, I'm going to do this bit different. It was a disaster, like.
Also, who do I think I am? The second gig. This wee fella, he just doesn't quite get it, but he's something there, like.
He doesn't cut the mustard.
So then that's how I met you, and then we were doing a gig in Oma,
Yeah,
and that's when I
Davies
met
Green
you,
Room, yeah.
and I'd seen one of your vlogs, and I
call-
went up to you and was all, you that YouTube guy?
We're the vlog guy, yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, I do like, so since I started stand up, I vlog basically all my gigs to give people like an insight what it's like getting into stand up, how it goes, which it's just basically my anxiety wrapped into a vlog series is what it is. There's like an episode where I get invited to do pugs with Dave and stuff, and I literally like trap myself in the toilet and vlog the whole thing, being like, why is there no one here? What's going on? Is this material any good? But yeah, I've been doing that, and that's how you recognise it.
Yeah, that's what's good about that series though, because it shows you what doing an open mic gig's like. It's not like, oh, this is brilliant, this is class. You'll say into the camera,
Yeah.
there was 4 people there, or shit. You'll
Yeah.
say exactly what it's like.
There's a running trend with it. If you see me at the vlog in McDonald's by the end of the night, I had a stinker. I had a stinker and I'm having a mental breakdown.
Yeah. Where do you go if it's a good gig, like M&S food court or
The merchant overnight. Check in.
jacuzzi on it?
4 big laughs and applause break. We heard this.
I found myself guilty doing this recently, where if I have a good gig, I'll deliberately like walk back through the crowd to go to the toilet or something, and look at a few compliments, being like, all right, and I go, here man, that was class. I was like, I don't even need to go for a piss, I've just walked back through to be a cunt.
I stopped doing that a while back. When you walk through the crowd and nobody looks at you, they're all just on their phones or back talking to their mates, and then you're all like, right, I just need to go out the back door from now on, I think.
What the fuck was that Luke joke, by the way?
There was a boy on the gig on Sunday we done, and he pulled me and Darren afterwards. He goes, "The Queen stuff, you touched the line, but you didn't take it too far." And I was like, "Cheers, bud. Thank you,
Cheers,
pal."
Nolan.
Yeah, cheers.
5 stars.
He's like, you just walked the line. I went, "All right, cheers, pal."
Have you gigged then since the Queen has died?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Did you do material? I know you says you
It died on its own,
Touched
like
on?
straight away, like just a one
Queen
show.
or the
yeah, 2 of them, double whammy. Oh,
yeah, it's the same. I did one
Well, I seen the clip of you.
an hour after.
Yeah.
What was the reaction after that?
It was all 100% positive until somebody phoned me saying, could I take it down? Because the
Really?
bar had death threats. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Can I just say, was that your opening line?
No, I did one before that. I went on. I was also what do you want to talk about? And then I says like, right, you know, there's an elephant in the room here. We have to address the news, and you know, I know it's been an intense sort of last couple of hours and stuff, but a lot of people aren't going to agree with what I say here, but it needs to be said. Graham Potter's not good enough to be Chelsea manager.
Yeah.
And I got a decent laugh and stuff, but even going into the gig, no matter what you believed in, what your religious preferences were, there was something not right about that whole
Yeah.
night. It was just the weirdest thing. It was almost like everyone was in mourning, or you've been asked to gig at a wake. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't technically...
Probably the unknown as well, because the Queen's never died in anyone's
Yeah.
lifetime, because it's been like so long.
exactly.
So it's
It
like
has,
this is
yeah.
just weird.
So it was a strange one. So I was on the car on the way down, and I was like, she was still alive by then, or I think she had died that afternoon, but they hadn't announced it. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, she's still warm here. What am I? I'm
getting
typing
the last
while I'm
rites.
driving. What am I doing? Yeah. So I'm driving in the car, and I'm fucking like thinking of material, and I'm like, right, I'll say that. I'll say this. This will go down well. This will go down well. And then I went up and I says, Protestants, give me a cheer, and the place went, ew, and I was all right. There's 5 minutes. Just
Scrap that.
let's move swiftly on. So I just went from then. I just went, right, let's get up and we'll do the national anthem.
Yeah.
And it was fucking just about to hit 1 million views on TikTok. And then
And
I
you
got,
did have
I
to
got
take
the
it
phone
down?
call. Yeah, it was on like 960 something thousand views, and that was my first million viewed video on
Yeah.
TikTok. And then the guy says, could you take that down? I was like, do you know what, the bar had lost money. They had,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were getting a bad reputation because I'd said Protestant bar when I shouldn't
Where
have.
was
'cause
it? No, you don't name the venue.
it was
but
in
where
Antrim,
it?
it's top of the
Antrim?
town. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
But I wrote Irish comedian in Protestant bar, and I was like, I'd said that almost like to grab headlines. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
As if,
yeah,
to
yeah.
go,
Get them in.
oh, I want to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
It's
everybody
the name of the game
does.
a bit. It's not
Yeah.
clickbait,
Yeah.
but it's pushing people along
get-
the way to
it
click
gets
it.
them in, but then I didn't realize the effect that would have. Me
Yeah.
calling them a Protestant bar
Yeah.
when they're far from it. Do you know,
Yeah,
they're,
yeah.
they're mixed and stuff. So that's why they got the death threats. And I was like, I understand. I'll take it down.
If only if it was just Protestant audience.
Yeah.
You might
I
have got
know,
away
I
with it.
know.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, or majority Protestant audience. But then in the TikTok comments, I did say, whatever I said, it was an announcement or something, big capital letters, and I was like, it has to be clear up here that this isn't a Protestant bar.
Yeah.
I says I just have to make that clear. I thought it was, but it obviously isn't. So I just 100% want to reiterate that it's a mixed bar, open for everybody, and the audience were lovely. And you could tell even by watching the video that the audience all reacted really well. And
Yeah.
there was a fella there who looked like like he was full scale Protestant, like fucking, Queen tattoos all over his body.
Yeah.
And he pissed himself laughing, and I give him knuckles and all this here, and we all just sort of went on about the gig and had a laugh.
Yeah.
But then it's everybody else who takes it out of context and watches
Yeah.
it and just goes, oh, how can I fucking critique this or put it down or make myself feel bad? And I was like, it is what it is.
You could have said worse. You could have done
Oh,
worse. Like
I
that was
Live, like there's a news story there.
I'm surprised they didn't get on to me, because I says to the fella, I was all, listen, if any news outlets come to me,
Yeah.
do you want me to just refuse to speak about it? And he goes, well, not necessarily. He goes, if you could just reiterate that we're not a Protestant bar. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to speak to anyone, but I'm just going to take it down, and a couple of days everyone will have moved on.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
what
fair.
happened. So, have you ever had any negativity?
I thought then you were going to do serve a Guinness with a Smith head. Like it is the do care if that's Germany. Like yeah.
Back to the original question. No, I done Lavers was my first since the Queen died, and I was like, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
I'm not going there. Just because I don't think I'm skilled enough to like navigate that or like.
See, I think people almost go to gigs going, right, this has happened.
Yeah.
Somebody has to mention it, because it does become an elephant in the room. Like when
Yeah.
I did Lavery's about 3 weeks ago, somebody had been knocked down on a bike outside, like literally fucking outside the venue. So everyone would have seen this coming in. So there was traffic jams and stuff.
I was there.
Were you there?
I was at that gig. Yeah.
So I went
yeah.
up on stage and I was like, I do the thing when I come out and I'm like, Lavery says like, can you come and do our gig? And I was all, yeah, but I have these demands.
Yeah.
And I says, so one of my demands is like, I do, dark comedy and dark humour and I love it and stuff. And they were all, that's okay, we support dark humour. And I goes, do you? Well, get somebody knocked down out the front before the gig starts in. Do you know what I mean? Fucking prove it. Yeah. And it went down really well and stuff. But it's I think it's nice to kind of address all these things that make it
Yeah.
intimate and specific to that night and to
Yeah.
that occasion. Do you know what I mean? Because people don't want to go home going, oh, I could see that exact same show if I go next week again. It's like you're going to see something completely different, because people are reacting to things that are live and things that are happening in the room and things that are happening in pop culture. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's a good bit of advice, because I think at the moment I'm still that safety blanket material. Safety blanket material. It helped me a wee bit because like Darren Matthews was MC, he addressed it. Jordan Rams was on for it, he addressed it. So
Right.
people had sort of addressed it. But if I was on first, I get what you mean. It's the sort of thing we do. You sort of have to like say what everyone's thinking.
yeah.
Like it would be weird if you didn't mention it.
Yeah, but I think most of my gigs now too, I kind of reiterate to the audience, I'm like, listen, nothing I say here is for shock factor or to offend anyone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make you laugh. I'm trying to have a laugh.
Yeah.
Don't fucking take any of this seriously. Don't take it out of context. Don't go home and yap online that I've done something or said something. We're having a laugh. Everybody goes home, nobody's like, I say things about like Kobe Bryant and stuff where I dress like the trainers that I'm wearing. You know, I could talk about I have like new Shaq trainers and stuff, and I used to have a pair of Kobe's, but I ran them into the ground. And then I go on from there and I say a couple of other things, and obviously, like, fucking Kobe Bryant was one of the best basket players that's ever lived. His wee daughter died with him. I have a fucking daughter. Nobody wishes that on anybody, right? So don't make me out to be this fucking demonic person who has no feelings and no empathy. Do you know,
Out to ruin someone's night. Like,
I'm just having a bit of a laugh, and it's good to laugh about things that are really, really dark and really depressing.
Closure.
Yeah.
Because
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, that's it. And we've all survived on coping mechanisms. Like when you've been dumped or whatever happens, somebody dies, you go and you watch a bit of comedy, or you go and fucking, you know, look at funny videos online to cheer yourself up, or you listen to music that isn't fucking Adele or Lewis Capaldi, do you know what I mean? Or maybe you
weird
do for
way,
the first couple of weeks, and then to help you get over it, you listen to all other stuff.
It's a way of like empathising in a way, because you're addressing the fact that this is a dark issue.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're acknowledging it. Yeah. But do you not think do you maybe get away with being a wee bit more darker because you have the sort of the props and the silly stuff? So it's like, well, he clearly is joking away. If you delivered stuff
Yeah, I
so
think so.
completely deadpan throughout, they might go, he's a bit more serious.
Yeah, I think so.
This might be his views.
Yeah, whereas that's why I just reiterate, going, listen, just this is all just silly comedy, funny, trying to make us laugh, and that's the bottom line. And don't take it as more than that, because that's not what it is.
Yeah.
I remember doing a gig in Dublin. I came out and just done. It's such an international crowd there, like compared to maybe up here, and you're playing like the Pavilion and it's all students. And I came out and done a bit about America, and the whole front row were all Americans. And it was just a recent news story, and that was when I tried to be like,
fuck,
this is what's happening. And then as soon as it came out, it was just like, ooh, no has or anything, and I just couldn't win them back at all. And then I seen one guy taking the phone out, and I went, is he going to put me on Instagram being like, this guy's crap or stuff? Your head goes a million different places.
At least he didn't pull a gun out.
Yeah,
that would have been worse, wouldn't it?
You want to see a wee taste from home?
Yeah.
Try to do topical stuff and get booed, and you're like, it's not what it's like, and how I get news for you. Like,
that's why it's always good as well. Just you now have that experience, and the next time you know how to deal with it, and you'd maybe go home and go, right, I'm going to write something where if there are Americans in that take offence to this, then I have another way of going around it.
Yeah, different route.
Or you just go fucking harder and slag the shit out of them and just hope
Knuckle
that they
down.
cry or leave.
Would it wind you up if you do see people actually recording in the set and all? Because I know some other comedians, they say that really puts them off.
It used to really fuck me off. Like even my solo shows, when people are sitting filming half of it, and you're like, I try every day to get views.
Yeah.
And it's still a struggle to this day. And I've loads of followers and different platforms where I have more followers than others. And every day I'm fighting for views and shares and likes and all this here. So some drunk girl who's holding her phone like this here, trying to look through it, and is maybe zooming in and out on me and stuff. How many views is she going to get realistically? How many people are actually going to see that? Apart from a few friends, family members, whatever. So I almost just am like, what's the worst that can happen? It goes viral and everyone knows who you are. Do you know what I mean?
It's sort of when they tag you. I've been tagged, and some mates have come to see me and they've taken a video and tagged me. But the worst part of the set where there's no laughing and I'm talking about the most boring shite.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and then I'm either go, share that on your Instagram story, and I share it, and people are like, fuck, he must be dreadful.
Yeah,
You can always tell if like I reshare a video and it's muted. It's like they got a bad bit. They got a bad bit. You don't need to know like if there's volume on. It went well.
Yeah, like it's a hard one. I like, how do you feel about material going online? Like you posting it yourselves, you know, especially having none of you has been doing it for longer than a year. Surely you just have a shorter set or a shorter amount of material.
I've sort of probably dabbled more of this than you guys have. My plan was for Speakeasy. We've videoed the second night of it. First night was Def Jam comedy through the roof. Mad, all friends and family. So fucking class, right?
Chris Rock on stage.
I actually don't know what that means. I genuinely don't know what that means. I've heard some say it before. So
You don't know what it means.
I don't know what it
podcast.
means. What does that mean?
It means Chris Tucker came out and done a set as well.
Yeah. Basically, that's what happened, right? So, first night's class. Second night, it was still lethal, but like didn't come across as well on video, if you know what I mean. So my plan was to take my first like year of an hour, take the best bits and distribute online. So I took a good few clips of it and whatnot and post them. But the TikTok comments are absolutely savage. Like some of them got good traction and stuff like that. So I was thinking one of them's up around 100,000 views and stuff like that. And people just the usual shit like, is this guy meant to be funny? Blah blah blah. All this here stuff. And there's one guy who's absolutely ripped. I can't remember his TikTok name, but he was like, this guy's very good. And I'm like, are there 10 comments? Shite, this one guy, real G.
Yeah.
Or he's off his tits on protein.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But hopefully
The guy's got good taste in comedy, that's what I say.
I think for clips, it's like the best stuff is like that stuff has just happened there in the moment. The bit of crowd work. I wouldn't really put material out, like you said, because I have a limited pool and I don't want people seeing it too early.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
the Students' Union, actually, the one that we met at and we both died, they streamed our entire sets on their stories.
No
It's like,
way.
I had to mail them the next day, being like, that's my second ever gig. Can you not maybe do that?
Me.
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Yeah. So it's like, just on Instagram stories, so they're just
Yeah.
flicking through it, being like, shite.
So basically, we donated £5 to Pips that night. They recorded our whole set and distributed it to every student in Queens. Fuck's sake. And in the back corner, they were playing like beer games. So there was like beer pong on top in the back corner.
Yeah.
People roaring, shouting the place down.
And
It was
between
hectic.
every act, this woman just got on and sung "We're a Boyfriend,"
Yeah.
like a duet. So
We staring at each other's eyes like, you raise me up. And we were like, right, Sean McAleavey's up next. Ciaran Franco, you're like, oh my god.
there's one stage like, have I dropped ass before going in here? What's going on?
That's brutal.
I spoke about the guy at Mullingar gig.
Yeah.
Just talking
Oh
about
my
it
God.
started off by a guy wearing fingerless gloves, wearing a Dennis the Menace jumper, getting up to do slam poetry. And he was like late 50s and he was real camp, and it was just like I was sitting there going, what am I meant to do here? Bro?
And then he was trying to convince us that he was on the run and all this
Yeah.
stuff afterwards.
What was it he said to me? He goes, I've opened for like, not Dermot O'Leary, fucking Dermot O'Leary should play for the X Factor.
Tonight on the X Factor.
All these huge Tommy Tiernan, all these huge Irish comedians, like, I've opened for all them and all. And I was like, then why are you on the run? surely they'll give you a place to stay.
He came up to me and he was all, I done something in Irish court that's never been done before. I was like, okay. Handed me, he didn't tell me, which made it creepy. And he handed me like a wee business card of his cancelled radio show, and I was like, get me out of this town. Like,
There's a way as well, he looked a double of Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers and fucking Dennis the Menace jumper. And then the MC as well, we arrived at the bar and who's MCing it? And the barman, the guy who owns the bar goes, it's my bar, so I'm MCing. And he said the most right-wing things you could say, just killed the mood, like crack vacuum.
Jesus Christ.
At the very end of the gig, like he had like it was that bad an MC that the people were just happy we were getting up. Do you know, in
Yeah.
between them to break it up a wee bit,
That's
like.
good though, isn't it?
But
Yeah.
well, yeah, sort of, I suppose.
for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and then this
suppose, yeah.
then they're boarding him. But at the end of the gig, it finally wrapped up. He was thanking everyone, like, thank fuck. He invited us all on the stage and goes, so Madeline McCann, the parents definitely did it. Good night. And we're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That's
The-
tame compared to some of the things he was
Actually,
saying,
in the
like,
vlog, I vlogged that moment, and in the vlog, Luke McGibbon was there, and he's doing this whole ramble, and he's speaking away, and Luke just leans to the microphone like, we need to actually go home right now. And just
Luke was like, you know when you're like around your auntie's house and Luke, right, let's go. That was Luke. We were like, he's
And
the
the guy
dad.
just kept he's on stage.
Yeah.
yeah.
He kept the football on as well, so when you're on stage, it's like, oh, that's how we go to the Rangers then. You're Billy Fennell.
Fucking hell.
I died in the hole, and I went out into the bar afterwards, and like me and Ciaran like started to get to know each other, but not as close as we are now. Ciaran was all like died my ass, like you said, dressed you have it in the room. Ciaran was all, well, you working away this week then? I was like, please just acknowledge that I had shit there. Quit trying to cheer me up, like, because you're just making it worse. Like.
The thing is, well, that like it's when he cooked all these oven pizzas for us, and then he was just sitting there like, oh, I've just died. And I went, well, eating obviously, you're working away tomorrow. Like,
Where is this?
Mullingar.
Mullingar.
You should really do it. I
Mullingar.
really,
Should I?
here's the
Thanks,
You're
Ciaran.
near
spirit.
like Columbia
Yeah.
Bar sometime. Do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell, that's...
It's the only place in Westmeath we think does like comedy. Like it's on every Thursday as well. So he's like,
So many people whose opinions I respected told me to avoid it, and I went,
Really?
nah, stage time, went down. I'll get
Avoid it then?
Yeah.
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 Good Alvin for them anyway.
Yeah. Their parents definitely did do it. But
Yeah, 100%, like.
lads, we have to wrap it up. I have to go and pick my daughter up. Sorry you only got 20 minutes, but you were
No
really
worries
late.
at all.
It's always great to have another Lurgan comedian.
That's it.
It's always good. I fucking love every time I hear a Lurgan comedian. I was like, Joe, did you see the thing in the news a few weeks ago?
Right.
And it was Lurgan comedian gets jailed for child porn, and I was all, fuck me, Mickey Bartlett's had a dark spot. You know what I mean? I was either that or like I was looking around me going, am I in jail here?
Yes, he was
And
in
it was
England.
Some guy from England.
My man was all, I went to school with him and all. Like,
Really?
what the hell? Yeah, I do remember that actually, yeah.
Called himself a Lurgan comedian. I was like, and then there were three. Thanks for tuning in. These were my guests, Sean McAleavey, Ciaran Franco, Pete Giffen. Your podcast is called Are We Podcast?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
on everything, isn't it? Spotify.
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Spotify,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Every Tuesday. So do check it out and subscribe and whatever else. Check out your blog as well.
Yeah.
Vlog.
Vlog,
yeah.
Anything else? Anything you just want to promote?
You and I are on the Yo magazine as well. You're headlining in 2 weeks' time.
Looking
next
forward to
Thursday.
that.
So yeah, it's an Ulster Sports Club.
That's next
so,
Thursday.
Thursday the 6th. So 2
Oh, right.
Thursdays
Okay.
away, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, looking
for
forward
that
to
as well. Yeah.
That should be good.
And then, can I plug some?
Yeah, of course.
The other one is, so the Speakeasy show you hear me, Ciaran and Pete all talk about earlier on, we're actually bringing it on the road down to Newry, which is my hometown, so if there's anyone listening down from around that area, McCooey's Cafe, the 15th of October as well. Tickets are flying out, so snap them up.
And then Mullingar after.
Yeah.
Go on, go on.
The big homecoming. Lads, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks for
Thanks
making
very
an
much.
effort.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have a good one. Cheers.